Crafty Axe. This is part of the series of basic card making, and what we're going to work on today is card mats. This is referred to as the card base, and these things are referred to as the card mats. And as I told you in the previous video, I want to go through how to determine the sizes that you cut these at, and we will work on doing that. I'm gonna cut mats and talk about how we put those parts of the cards together. Okay? All right. So let me get those out of the way. All right. I'm gonna set this here so you can take a screenshot. This is for an A2 size card. All right. An A2 size card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's what this is. 4 1/4, 5 1/2. Okay. The mats are the pieces that go on top. So this is a mat. Okay. This is a mat. All right. The other term you're going to hear me use is the focal point and the embellishment. Okay. Embellishment is anything that goes on the outside of the card base when I refer to it. So mats are kind of the part of the embellishment, but the real thing that you're looking at with embellishments are the pieces like this is referred to as a focal point because your eye is drawn to it when you see it, and this is referred to as a sentiment. Okay? When it comes to embellishing the front of a card, you can cut a piece of pretty patterned paper of one of these sizes. You can put it on the front, you can put a label across it, and you can call it done. And considering how beautiful some patterned paper is, that can be enough. All right? But what we're going to go through today is how you build up these layers and what size layers most people use. Okay. I'm going to start with this. All right. The first layer in is usually 4 by 5 1/4. We have a tendency to come in 1/4 of an inch from the top and from the side, all right, and center it. Ignore this number 1 for right now, okay? When we come in for the next layer, and this is not quite that, but almost, you come in 1/4, 3 3/4 by 5, all right? At the center, when you have focal points, that mat at the center, a lot of times this piece is going to be a 3 by 4. Now, I refer to that because when you buy certain pattern paper packs, say that 3 times fast, you end up with what they call cut-aparts, and that is printed squares that are typically 3 by 4. You can put them at the center. They've got an image on it. They have a sentiment on it. You can cut them and put them at the middle of the card and embellish the outside of the card. If you use one of those, a lot of times, depending on what you've done with the base, that can be plenty. All right. But if you want something around it, then you would go 1/4 out. So it would be 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then that would give you this matted look around the outside. Okay? All right. I've pulled out some pieces of things, and we're going to cut paper. All right? I'm going to set this over here at the side because one of the things you're going to learn about me is I don't do math. All right? So let's start with I'm going to start with this yellow piece. Okay? And I'm going to cut it 4, all right, by 5 1/4. Okay? I'm going to save this. Now, for right now, I'm just going to set this aside, but if I was actually going to make 2 cards, I would go ahead and cut it by the 4 by 5 1/4, but I may want to do something a little bit differently, so I'm going to set that over here. All right? So I've got that, and then I'm going to cut this green piece next by 3 3/4. distracting me. Okay, again, save this piece, set this aside. Alright, okay, so you can see how we're building. Okay, and then I think I'll go one more in. Right, I'm going to go one out with this. This is my 4 1/8. Right, you'll see here in just a second what the 4 1/8 does for us. 5 3/8. Still saving it. Alright, and we cut a bunch of cardstock earlier, so let's just grab one of our white pieces and put a couple things together, and then we'll see what else we want to cut. I tend to work from the top down. Okay, some people they would put, since this is the back layer, they would put that on first. I tend to put that on last. Okay, I use Bearly Arts glue. It works for me. I am a wet glue person. There is double adhesive out there that a lot of people use. I don't use that. Okay, this is, and then I just basically eyeball it to center it. Okay, so now I've got that. Alright, and so this was 3 3/4. Okay, so let's come in with the yellow again. Did I have the piece already cut? Yeah. Let's come with the yellow and let's do a 3 by 4 at the center. Okay, and then I want to mat this, so I'm going to mat that at 3 1/4. 1/4 by 4 1/4. Still saving that. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to put this I started to talk about wet glue. There are different brands of glue. Everybody finds the one that they're the most comfortable with. I'm most comfortable with Bearly Arts. It dries clear, which is important to me. It also, by working with a wet glue, I have what's referred to as wiggle room. Okay, so see how this is a little bit off? That's because that came in a little crooked. Most of the time I let that go, but just to be persnickety here, I'm gonna shade that so it looks a little more even. You don't have to do that, but okay, so now this will go. And so when you're working with a wet glue, you've got a little bit of time. I mean, if I had caught that when I was working, I could have maybe moved it. At this point, if this was like critical, I could probably peel that off, but it's going to damage the card underneath. Okay, so now we're going to center this. Okay, all right, so let's see. Right, this is where I kind of start to look at embellishment. I can take this piece that I saved and put it here because it will fit across. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with the green. This is a good example of why you save all your strips and bits. Okay. And when it comes to scraps, one of the things to keep in mind is there is not any kind of crafting out there that I know of where you're not ending up with some kind of scraps. I know quilting, I used to sew my own clothes. I always had little pieces of scraps left over, and you find things to do with them, and you find a lot of that in card making. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on. And I know people who they have these plastic things that they line all this stuff up with, and I just kind of got used to eyeballing it. And one of the things that you find is that there are some things you get better at, and if you don't get better at it and you're not happy with it, then there are tools you can buy. Right, so I'm going to put this then on here, and for me this is always the hardest. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have our 4 1/8. We have our 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We have our 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. We have our 4 by 5 1/4. We have our 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. We have our 3 by 4 at the center with our 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 around it. Okay. All right. Now, I keep a big supply of these. You're going to hear me say often that I mass make my cards, and for that reason, the group that I work with, this is one of the sentiments that they like. Okay, very simple card. We just use plain cardstock. I would usually, this is that heavier stuff we cut. This is not my 110-pound index. The card is not real thick. Okay. And it fits inside an A2. So this is an extremely simple card. But I can tell you that whoever gets this would be thrilled, because you're going to write something on the inside, and that's going to make them happy. Okay, all right, let's lay that up there. Let's see if we've got enough pieces left here now to make another one. Got this piece of brown right here that I had pulled out. Got some yellow over here, so let's see if we can do something else with mats. Okay, so this is a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece. So what do we want to? What do? We want to go back down to yellow from brown to green. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, so we want this to be 4. I'm hoping I'm in frame here. 4. Okay, and then this is 5 1/4. I'm going to keep all these little bits. Okay, and that looks kind of nice. That's a dark brown with the bright green. Okay, what do we want what color do we want? Oh, that's the other thing. This art glue, any of these glues like this, dry if you leave the thing out. Let me think. How wide is this? This is 2 1/4. So we're coming down 2 1/4, coming down 3.5 inch. So if that's 4, it'll be 3.5. So I could go with the contrasting, or I could try to, I think I'll do that. That keeps it rather plain, but gives you an example of one of the things I would do. Okay, so let's put this on the brown background. Okay. And I just, like I said, okay, see how this will let me slip it around a little bit? If I was using the double-sided adhesive tape, it would not let me do that. Okay, and then put this out in the center as best I can. Okay. Okay, let's put this here. I would have normally cut that before I put that on there, so let me double check that measurement there. Yeah, that's my 4, so I want this to be 4, because I want it to go right to the edge of that. And this, my friends, is why I save my little strips and bits. When I'm working like this, I will save all of these scraps. Okay, now I don't worry about the ink easing over. Some people do. I find that it dries pretty smooth, so I don't worry about it. Okay, and then my scissors are over here. Right. Okay, and then I have another one of my little circles. And then we're going to put this on our card base. Okay. So we end up with 2 simple cards. A little pile of bits. And this is kind of okay, I don't save that. I put that away. Okay, this is kind of not real accurate. I made a practice set before this. Okay, so that's a few more scraps than what we actually created. All right. So we have 2 cards. All right. Okay, now in the next video, I want to start to go, I'm going to put this out in the middle in case you didn't get a screenshot of it now, so that you can look at how the mats break down. In the next video, I want to go through how to work specifically with a card sketch and work with the embellishments, because now that you know how to take a card base, you know how to cut a card base, you know how to kind of break down how to move your mats in to create some design and depth on your card. You know what what kind of things to use as a focal point. And I really want to get into the idea with you of like working with different things like this, and where to get them, um, how to put them how to put them together, some different things you can do. That's what I'm going to try to do in the next video. And since I keep talking about card sketches, all right, I wanted to show you this. If you go out on Pinterest and you search by card sketch, you're going to get all kinds of ideas on how to put together the basics. And just taking a look at this, this is what we just did. Okay, we have a piece that's 3 by 5 1/4. That's gonna fill the front of the card. All right, that's the 3 by 5 1/4. And then I think she did it backwards. She did, yeah, this is your 4 by 5 1/4. So you've got a 4 by 5 1/4. You've got your 3 by 5 1/2. A 5 1/4. You've got your little piece that goes here. You've got the strip that goes along the back, and you've got the measurements for all of these. And in this case, you would put the 4 by 5 1/4 down first, and then put the 3 by 5 1/4 on top of it. Then put this on top and this behind, and then whatever your embellishment was going to be there. Mojo Monday has, when you go to their website, they have all kinds of card sketches that are out there, and they're free, and they have the measurements written on it, so that you can work with them. Kristie Marcotte is one of the people I follow, and she does wonderful videos where she takes a whole paper pack and makes a whole pile of cards. But she shows you, how to get over to her web page, which is a blog site, and she has this. She has the sketch, and then the picture of what the card could look like if you work with different pattern papers. Okay, and notice she uses that top folding. This is the style that's very common among those people who make and display their cards, particularly for instruction purposes, because it's much easier to see what the card looks like than if you try to stand up one of these. Okay, so my objective with the next video is going to be to work a little bit more with how to come up with focal points for the front of your card, and how to figure out where to place things and those kinds of things. And then with the last one in the series, I really want to find a couple of card sketches and make sure that you have those like at the end of the next one, so that you can gather your supplies. There'll be a list on that last one of the things that you need to pull together so you can actually craft along. And in that one, my goal will be for us to make 2 cards together. I hope you have enjoyed this. I will leave all of the information on these things in the description below. If this is the first time you're watching my videos, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and hit the thumbs up, and leave a comment if you have questions. I will look at your questions and do what I can to answer them. All of that helps with the algorithm that all of us YouTube people are working with, so that when someone searches for basic card sketching or basic card making, that one of my videos will come up. All right, well, thank you very much for being here, and I hope you found this helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again.